Hello, this is Dr. Drew Hall with Upper Cervical Healthcare of Los Angeles and Carson. Today we're going to hear a story from a patient who's been under care, I believe, for about
a year.
Yeah. Who was suffering from Glossopharyngeal Neuralgia. Now, in the neuralgia groups, there are three different conditions. One is occipital neuralgia, which is a nerve that comes up the back of the head. And there's another group, which is the most common, called trigeminal neuralgia, which is the fifth cranial nerve and supplies the face and teeth. And then there's glossopharyngeal neuralgia, which supplies parts of the throat. And these are very severe pain conditions that people deal with, and they're often helped significantly by correcting the upper cervical spine. So Allison is going to tell us her story about what she went through prior to receiving care in the office, and then what transpired after receiving Blair Upper Cervical care.
Thank you. Yeah, so like Dr. Hall said, I've had GPN for quite a while. It started with just chronic throat problems where I would get chronic tonsillitis and strep throat like once a month for a really long time. And then basically just kept going to ENTs, and I got a tonsillectomy, and I got like a couple other surgeries trying to just stop getting sick all the time. And I ended up, that didn't work. I kept getting sick. And so I went to a different ENT who found a third tonsil, he called it. And after that surgery, which was crazy painful, that was when I ended up with GPN, was after that. And I don't know if it was a direct result of the surgery or what, I don't know. All I know is that I didn't get better after that. If anything, I got worse. And I kept going back in for follow-ups, going like, why am I worse and not better? What's going on? And he just kept, giving me more, medications and just different things. And then,
so what were you feeling? What did you experience? What were the symptoms that you had with glossopharyngeal neuralgia?
Chronic burning. So it's kind of like if you've ever had strep throat, that like burning feeling where it's painful to swallow and it's painful to talk, and it was that all the time, 24/7, with no breaks. It would, there would be moments where it was better or worse, but the average pain level, I also don't know, I feel like my pain level scale is different than maybe a normal person's now, but to me it was like a 6 to a 7 on an average day. My best day was like a pain level 4, and the worst was 10, 11, 12. But it took about a year after that surgery, even of living with GPN, to even get a diagnosis, because I kept going to ENTs thinking, my throat hurts, what is, and I didn't realize that it was a nerve situation, because how would I know? I'm not a doctor, I don't know. And I'm a performer. I've been an actor since I was a kid, and I grew up doing musical theater, so I'm a singer. And it changed my life 100%. I hadn't been able to sing in over 3 years at that point, which not only was a blow directly to my career, but just made me so depressed, because it's what I love to do. And I couldn't even get through Happy Birthday without pain, so I just stopped. Luckily, my cords were fine. I kept getting scoped and everything looked fine. And that's what was so frustrating, was that because it was a nerve situation and I didn't know this, I would go to all these doctors. I would even go to ER visits sometimes because it was so painful, and they kept looking at me and saying like, oh, I don't see anything, you're fine. And I was in extreme pain to the point where I couldn't even get through a day, let alone talk, eat, anything. I'd work out, honestly, and I used to be a dancer at Disneyland. I had to quit because the pain got too much. My body couldn't handle the physical activity. So now I couldn't sing, I couldn't dance, I couldn't do theater at all. I had to freeze my equity membership, which is the Professional Actors Theater Union. That's still frozen, but hopefully now I can get back to it eventually. But anyway, roundabout way of saying, 6 surgeries later, I was still no better. If anything, I was worse and worse. And I, after a lot of research and talking to other people who I found online who also have GPN, discovered this thing called an MVD, which is basically this brain surgery that's supposed to be like the only thing that cures GPN, and even then it's like a fancy band-aid. It's not really a guaranteed cure. It's like maybe it'll give you some relief, maybe not. And a lot of people that I know have really scary results of that, like vocal palsy, and it's brain surgery. Of course, there's a million things that could go wrong. Right. And so I met with a neurosurgeon in March of last year, 2018, and this was after months of hoops jumping through to even get an appointment with him. And I found out that day that because my GPN pain was burning as opposed to stabbing, and it was chronic 24/7 as opposed to come and go, that meant that apparently I had atypical GPN, of course, right? So I wasn't even a candidate for an MVD, and I thought it was just the worst news I could possibly get. And I remember just being devastated because I thought that him saying no was just the end. And then I thought to myself, I gave myself a week of just being bummed, and then after that I was like, this is insane. Like, there has to be somebody that can do something, right? Like, it's just crazy to me, like, that this is just it. Like, my life is just over at, you know, in my 20s. Like, this is insane. So I literally just Googled Glossopharyngeal Neuralgia, Los Angeles, and you were the first link that came up. Your office was.
I didn't even know this.
Yeah, that's how I'm here. You were the first link that came up, and so I clicked and I read your story and just a little bit, you know, of what was here, and I saw trigeminal neuralgia mentioned, and I already felt encouraged because a lot of other doctors' offices don't even know what GPN is, or even TN, and that one is more common. And so I was like, okay, I'm going in the right direction. And then I saw GPN listed, and I was like, oh my gosh, you actually even know what that is, little, you know, seriously. And yeah, and so I saw, you know, I saw the whole like consultation, blah blah blah, and you know, I was like, I have literally nothing to lose at this point because I thought my only option was now a closed door. So I was like, okay, well, I'm just gonna go. And I was slightly skeptical only because at that point, my neurologists were telling me this was going to be forever. You know, my ENT was telling me this was going to be forever. I was so many surgeries deep and just like this broken shell of a person, like physically and emotionally. And I was just like, well, we'll see, you know? But I was just really encouraged by your story, and just that you, as much as it sucks that you had to go through pain in your own life, like from a patient's perspective, appreciated that you know how frustrating it is to sit on the other side and hear, you know, there's nothing that can be done, or, you know, like, you're gonna have to deal with this forever, or, oh well, too bad, just tough it up and deal, you know. And it's like, just knowing that you could relate to how frustrating that was, like, from the other end, was really comforting. And so fast forward a year to now.
So you get under care.
I'm under care. Literally within 24 hours of my first adjustment, my pain level went from a 7 to a 2. And it hadn't been that low in probably 3 years. And I was just like, oh my God, this is crazy. And yeah, a year later, I've been able to start singing again, slowly but surely. I didn't think, honestly, I would ever sing again, honestly. And I'm singing regularly. I'm not going to be belting anytime soon, but I'm going to try. But I have the light at the end of the tunnel, which I didn't have for such a long time. And I'm just, oh my gosh, I just wish I was here sooner, and I'm so glad that I was here when better late than never. But yeah, I'm just so thankful. And it's crazy to me too that I'm like, how is it that brain surgery was suggested to me before going to see a chiropractor? Like, it's insane, right? I don't know. Anyways, so that's crazy to me, but I'm so thankful, and here we are.
I'm glad we can help, and I appreciate you telling your story, and hopefully some people online will come across this video and you'll see that there is hope. There's always hope. You just sometimes have to search outside of what you've been told is where you're going to find all the answers. So our office, we offer a free consultation. We have 2 offices in Los Angeles and we have one in Los Angeles and one in Carson. And our LA office number is 213-399-7772. And our Carson office number is 310-324-6172. So thanks for listening.